Welcome back to the neighborhood. It is time once again for us to talk about all of the games we've been playing lately. Not all of them, but some of them. We call this episode format the Neighborhood Watch. Welcome to the podcast where three longtime friends talk about video games from the average gamer's perspective. My name is Andrew Kimball.
I'm Dylan Wren.
And I'm Aubrey Summer.
And
we are your friendly neighborhood gamers.
Before we dive in, if you enjoy the podcast, if you enjoy what you are watching or listening to, we would greatly appreciate it if you would give us a rating and review on your podcasting app of choice. That really helps us out in all the various algorithms over there. If you are watching this on YouTube, a comment, a like, a subscription to the channel also helps us out and shows us that you like what we're doing over here. If you want to hang out with us, come join us on Discord. That is the main place where we hang out and engage with the community. We are on social media, but it's spotty at best what we're posting over there these days. Mostly just like when new episodes come out. But if you actually want to come and hang out and engage with us, Discord's the place to be. So, Dylan, it's only been one episode, I think, as far as the listeners' experience has gone. But I feel like you and I haven't sat down and done an episode in what feels like a really long time. I was traveling for work, and so that was a good opportunity for you and Dave to record about Monster Hunter, since I have not and will not play that game probably.
How dare you?
And then we were also we're ahead on episodes, so we had a week where we kind of recuperated and recollected and all that. So it's it feels in real time like it's been a minute since we've done this.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Because it, especially with the just scattershot of kind of big games that have been coming out recently too. I feel like we haven't sat down and talked about any of them.
Yeah, we haven't. It feels like a really crazy gaming season right now. Yeah, a lot of things we knew about were releasing, surprise things kind of came out, and things that thought might be good turned out to be great. And there's just kind of a lot going on in the as far as releases and stuff go right now, and then we still have more right around the corner. So, and we're creeping up on Summer Games Fest territory as well. So we're gonna
a month out from that when we're recording this. So
yeah, we're gonna start to get a little bit more news and maybe see what the back end of the year is gonna look like as far as releases. We got more information on Borderlands 4 and Ghost of Yotai recently. So
yeah, have you watched any of the Borderlands 4 stuff? Or?
No, I saw a clip on TikTok about it, and then I heard Skill Up does his weekly news roundup video. I'll listen to that, and he talked about how the date moved up a week, and they're speculating that that's for GTA 6 because they're owned by the same parent company. So.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that game does, because I think there's a lot of nostalgia for Borderlands, but also I'm skeptical that they will do anything different enough for, especially moving up a week is not getting out of the way of GTA 6.
No, no, I don't think that's going to really move the needle as far as, oh, well, now I have a week for Borderlands 4. It's the diehards who would do that we're going to buy it anyways. So
yeah, especially too, when we might be looking at $80 games by then, it's I'm not going to pick up Borderlands 4 if it means I'm spending $160 or more for GTA, to get that and GTA.
Yeah.
No, I'll just get GTA.
And I feel like people were pretty tired by Borderlands 3. So I mean, I know there are people that like that franchise. I like I pretty much am a Borderlands 2 fan because that's the only one that it's the only one I played all the way through. It's the only one I've really spent any time with, and then kind of feels like it's just more of that with the other games. So it's like I have 3 and I've never felt compelled to fire it up and play it. So 4 is not one of the games this year that I'm like looking forward to and contemplating spending my hard-earned money on. So
No, that's definitely one I feel like is I'll pick this up on sale with all the DLC at some point in 2 years.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And then will I play it then? Probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
That's what I'm saying. I haven't even played Borderlands 3, which I own. Like I bought it.
yeah, I own it too. I own all the DLC for it for
Yeah,
some reason.
it wasn't like given away or anything. It was like, oh, it's like $10. It would be, silly not to buy this game. And then it's like, well, was it? Was it really? Because it's just sat in my like uninstalled for, I don't know, 2 years at this point.
Yeah, Borderlands 3 is one of the few games I have on actual physical disc because I got it when Redbox was shutting down its like games.
Yeah.
And so they were just like selling games for like $5 a pop. And so I was like, I mean, I'd spend $5 on Borderlands 3.
Yeah, might as well.
But and then Ghost of Yotai seems, I mean, that's basically Sony's only big game coming out this year, right?
Yeah, I would assume,
as far as we know.
Yeah, they haven't at this point, and they may announce something that launches this holiday season, like over the summer. But we don't know of anything. Ghost of Yotai looks pretty cool. I haven't like actually sat down and watched all the stuff they released on it, but I watched some like recaps and overview stuff about it, and it's like, yeah, I really like the first game, so this one will probably be fun too.
Yeah. Do you think we get a Ghost of Tsushima remaster before Ghost of Yotai comes out? Like
no, because they already
the lead up.
They already did the PS5 director's cut thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the launch of the PlayStation 5 or shortly thereafter. So
now
that's not to say they wouldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. That's not to say they wouldn't do a remaster. But I think if they were going to, I think it would be like now. Do it now so people can play it ahead of Yotai and don't like release them so close together that they have to choose. So, yeah. Cool. Well, like I said, this episode is where we chat about some of the games we've been playing, and we've been playing a few things that will get their own dedicated episodes in the future. I'm 40 something hours into Assassin's Creed Shadows. I've beaten South of Midnight, but those are games that we plan on coming back to and giving them full episodes because, they're worth it. They're like the bigger games that we're, playing and that we know people that are playing, get a guest on if we need to or want to. Yeah. So I've been playing both of those. Those have been taking up most of my time, but I did play a smaller game that actually we got a code from the developer called Willow Guard, which is a smaller indie style game, but it has really big ambitions. So the information about it kind of on Steam is Willow Guard is a story-driven RPG combining difficult but rewarding action, hack and slash gameplay, enhanced by deck building and layers of deep choice-based story. You play as Gueros, a Willow Guard, investigating a series of monster attacks on a remote village close to the northern hinterlands. Discover a handcrafted original fantasy world full of uplifted animals, absent gods, and 1,000 years of buried secrets to unfold. Build an action deck of specialized Willow Guard abilities that you can activate as you battle through hordes of invading monsters in retro-inspired hack-and-slash gameplay through lusciously rendered pixel art levels. Slash, dash, and spellcast your way to victory over increasingly difficult foes across the campaign, or head into the dungeon run mode for some story-free instant fun.
Now, is this the like Witcher 3 meets Redwall looking game?
Or
yes.
No, that is... Okay. So you play as a badger with 2 swords on his back, and
Nice.
like a green cloak. So definitely it's a world of animals, and the Willow Guards are kind of this this like organization that are, you know, it's not one to one with Witchers as far as like them being outcasts and mutated and stuff like that, but it is like, you know, your kind of medieval group that's they mention in that description absent gods. There's like this kind of, the gods have shaken how the world functions, you know, with their bickering and stuff. There are monsters loose. And so you play as a Willow Guard, and just from that description, you kind of get an idea, but they very much cram a lot of ideas into this game. So the story,
hack and slash, deck builder, like,
exactly.
They listed a lot of different things.
Deck builder, choice based story, yeah. So the story, it opens up with a really well done, like kind of drawn cinematic like opening, kind of laying the story out, and then once you're actually in the gameplay, the story is presented like a book, where it's like being kind of narrated, kind of like Baldur's Gate 3 almost, where like there's the narrator it's from that perspective. Like you wake up and you feel this thing and you hear this, and so it's kind of from that perspective, but it's all text, you're reading it all. And so as you're doing that and you encounter other characters, you have choices that you can make in the dialogue that will kind of affect they're based on sort like your different attitudes and things. Like you can be kind of a little bit more abrasive, or you can be very strict to your code, or you can be like trying to please people, and the way you respond kind of like will lean, the more you like pick a certain style that you want to answer, and the more your character kind of like leans that direction. So that's pretty cool, the choice based stuff there. It also, I don't know that they really talked about it in their description, but it has this kind of investigative game thing, almost like it feels like the games that Aubrey talks about that she likes to play, where you're on kind of a single screen and you can click on various things, and like mostly it's talking to people is the things you click on, but sometimes it's like you click on this little barrel and you find something in it and stuff, and so you're in those screens, you're doing things to try to learn more about the world or your next objective, or like where the next town is, things like that. And so it's trying to create this feeling of immersion and you actually having to do some legwork, as opposed to the game just saying, all right, you did this, now move. Now we're going to automatically take you to the next town. Because at the beginning, you kind of do the tutorial fight area, and then you meet another character who's like your blacksmith. And then she's like, well, I'm going to go on to town. And on the way to town, you come across this tavern, and the tavern is like one of those places you can go in and you can talk to the barkeep, and you can ask about the like shadowy figure in the corner, and you can kind of poke around. And so it adds this kind of extra dimension to the gameplay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so what would you say is like a majority of your time in the game? Like if you were to break it down into percentages, is it like 50% combat, 50% like others? Like what's the breakdown?
Probably overall, the combat is definitely a focus, and then the kind of choice-based conversational stuff is the other half, it feels like. And so I think the investigation stuff is like, I would kind of lump that in with the like conversational stuff. Is just kind of like another additional layer to it. Kind of gives you, rather than them just presenting the characters to you immediately, like you have a little bit more agency. And because the combat also, technically, you know, there's the deck building that you can do, but I lump that in with combat as well. But you're doing it like outside of combat to prep. You're like meditating and you're prepping for battle. So
and so what is like the deck building piece? Is it like it do the because it when I hear hack and slash, I'm not thinking deck builder, right?
Yeah.
So what is the deck build part? Is it like what was that game with the dice?
Lost in Random.
Yeah, is it like that where it's like you're doing things and the deck is like your combos that or like your super moves that you're like randomly drawing, or is it like how does the combat work?
It's similar. I mean, it's kind of similar to Lost in Random, where your cards, when you get a card, or when you're able to get a card, you it like modifies your combat abilities. So you're still doing damage and stuff, whereas in Lost in Random you weren't really able to do much of anything without a card. So in this game you have like your basic sword that you're hitting enemies with, and then you have if you're playing on controller, it's like the face buttons, and so there's like you have like a grid of 4 diamonds. It's a square, tilted to look like a diamond. And so you fill up this meter as you're exploring or fighting, and once that's full, you can spend it to draw 2 cards, and then you pick which of those cards you want to take, or you might be able to draw more than 2, but you pick which card that you want to take and you slot it into one of those buttons. And so then some of them are like passives, where now you have like a shield, or now you have, your health regenerates slowly or whatever. And so for those, they sit there, but you don't have to use the button. Some of them are like a throwing knife, or a single massive heal that you can consume at any time, or, a magical blast that you can cast out. And so those cards, you'll actually decide when you want to use them in combat. And so the combat is tough. And so it's nice when you get when you have a card in your back pocket that's kind of like a get out of jail free card. But then as you're playing and you fill up your meter fills up pretty quickly. And so then it's like, draw another card or draw another set of cards. And then it's like, okay, do I just scrap these? Do I replace the thing that I've been holding but I haven't used yet? And so there's a little bit of that like choice. And I haven't gotten too deep into like actually the deck building and optimizing, because like I like playing Marvel Snap. I like playing some card games, but I'm not that big into actually like the deck building aspect of it as much. But it seems like there's some pretty good options there. The thing about the combat is it doesn't really feel that good to me overall. Like the actual moment to moment combat, it feels hard to know, like hard to read the enemies and hard to know like where exactly the hitboxes are. So like I'll go up, like they have these flies, they're kind of like the grunt enemy things, and so I'll run up to hit them, and then maybe I will hit them, maybe I'll miss, and then they don't have a very obvious like tell that they're about to attack. And so it kind of became this awkward thing of like me rushing in, hitting, and like rolling away as fast as possible, even though I don't know if I like needed to do that, because if I stood there for very long, I was just taking damage. And so it just kind of it looks cool. The presentation, it's that like kind of top down perspective. It looks but
like a Hades-esque.
Yeah, but like actually getting in and playing the combat moment to moment wasn't my favorite. Like I was more impressed with the depth of the cards, and then like when I got, because the game kind of, you do a little bit of dialogue, and then the game throws you into like the tutorial combat zone. And once I got out of that and it started throwing the systems at me of like, you need to like now travel and to unlock more places on the map, you need to talk to people and like learn about them. And then I got to that tavern and started, realizing that was part of the game too. Like the more systems I saw on top of the combat, I was like, this is pretty cool. This is pretty impressive. and I like the choices that you can make and the conversational stuff. So like going into this game, I kind of just thought it was going to be the like roguelike sort of deck building hack and slash combat. And so everything else that was on top of it was kind of like, oh, this is cool. Oh, this is cool too. Oh, this is cool. And the art style and the like visuals of it all, the character designs look really, really cool. It's you mentioned Redwall. It kind of has that like 90s style kind of interpretation of like the woodland creatures with swords. And so I really dig the way that this game looks. As I get deeper into it, maybe the combat will evolve a little bit more to where, you know, either you have better cards or get new abilities or something that will like make it feel a little less janky. But that could also just be the fact that, you know, this is a smaller game, it's a smaller studio, it's an indie title, and so
now and I can't remember if you said, is it in early access or is this fully released?
This game is out. So
okay.
It released on April 10th. So almost a month ago at the time of recording this. And since it's released, I've had at least probably 3 patches hit Steam for it. So like I haven't like looked in to see what those patches addressed, but they are, you know, actively, you know, trying to squash some bugs and things like that post release. So it's a cool little game that tries to do a lot of interesting things. It's inspired by a lot of things that I like and a lot of games that I like, and fiction and like the sort of medieval setting and style. Like a lot of that really works for me. So it's definitely one I would recommend checking out if it sounds interesting to you. But just know that it's not the most probably like polished feeling experience you'll ever play, because it is a smaller game, but it is definitely one that I would recommend.
Yeah. I mean, it does sound like, looking at it, it looked super cool. Just like art style wise, like you said. And then listening to you talk about it, sounds like there's a lot of things that, at least on my end, I would be interested in.
Yeah.
But also the combat side of things it sounds like is maybe not exactly what you were looking for. Which also, I think it's important to mention that you are also not a huge fan of like isometric top-down like combat either, really.
Yeah,
you know?
that perspective is definitely not my favorite, not my go-to. So yeah, a game has to feel pretty good from that perspective for me to get into it, like a Hades, for example.
Yeah. So if that is the type of like game that people are into, it might, like, the combat may feel a little bit different to them versus you or something like that. But yeah, no, it's interesting. It sounds like it's doing a lot. And so yeah, it definitely sounds like one I would keep my eye on, probably add to like a Steam wish list, maybe pick it up when it's on sale or something.
Yeah, it's definitely doing a lot, and I think it does a lot of it well currently. And I think this might just be its base price. Doesn't look like it's on sale. It's $16 on Steam. So like they're not asking for much, especially in this day and age of prices just keep going up on games. So yeah, definitely one, if what we talked about here sounds interesting to you, to go check it out, give it a look, and, you know, see if it's something you want to pull the trigger on.
For sure.
Nice. Well, have you been playing anything, Dylan, or are you still riding the Monster Hunter wave?
Yes. So I have still played a bunch, like, since the last time we recorded. I would say Monster Hunter is probably the primary thing that I have played a bunch of. But I have, since it's been a while since we've done one of these, it's been a little bit since I played Monster Hunter even. So I kind of got to the point in that game where I had done pretty, like, the only things I really have left to do in that game is try to like get a few more monsters that are like jumbo sized or miniature sized and unlock the last couple of achievements. And then I'll be pretty much done with like waiting for the next like updates to come out in that game. essentially.
That's crazy.
Which I'm definitely okay with. I've gotten like 120, 130 hours worth of fun out of that game over the past few months. So, can't complain. But other than that, I haven't been playing a whole lot because I've been super busy doing other stuff. But I have been playing a little game called Blueprints.
The game of the moment, it feels like. Well, I think maybe another game just stole
Yeah.
its moment, but like for a while, for the last couple of weeks, I feel like it was the game I kept seeing pop up and people talking about it all the time.
Yes. And so I am going to try to talk about Blueprints, but it also is a game that to me feels very difficult to talk about, especially without spoiling it. So I'm going to do my best to talk about it and not spoil anything. The best way that I can describe it is like an escape room meets a roguelike.
Okay.
And so you start out the game like this is not a spoiler, like you're some kid, I guess, probably a teenager that like your uncle or something just died. And so he left his house to you with the caveat that you have to find the 46th room in the house. So it's like this big mansion and there are like 45 rooms, but there's like a secret 46th room that you have to find and get into. And so the way that you do this, and I think it's like kind of halfway explained with some like, game logic in the game, but you start in a sort of foyer and there are 3 doors. And so each time you open a door, it drafts like 3 different room tiles essentially that you can place down. And so you pick one of those and you put it down. There are different kinds of rooms. So some are just like your standard hallway type of room. Some are bedrooms. Some are like rooms that come with like a bonus, like items or like resources or a puzzle that you can solve to try to get items or resources. Some come with like a negative as well. So like one of the rooms that you can run into is like every time that you step into this room, it will take 2 additional like steps, because that's like each day you have 50 steps basically to go. Like 50 movement, because it's not like it's a roguelike, but it's not like combat. So like your health is basically how much steps, how many energy that you have. And so each time you go into into another room, that costs 1 step. And so one of the negative rooms is like this one costs 3 steps to go into instead of just 1 step. So all of that said, the goal is there's like you're on a 5x8 grid, so it's like 5 wide, 8 up, and that like roughly in the middle of the 8th or 9th row or something like that is room 46. And so you are drafting these tiles, trying to like slowly work your way up towards the top while also getting as many resources as you can, in order to like try to keep that run going, right? And so you lose a run not by like dying to some enemy or something like that, but you lose a run by either running out of steps or kind of blocking yourself off, because some of the rooms don't have like another door. They're just like a dead end. Or sometimes you can run out of like keys because some of the doors are locked, and so if you can't unlock the doors any further, like that'll kind of end your run. But so like that part is the baseline of like what this game is like drafting rooms, trying to get to the top and open it. Within all of that, all of these rooms have like just random stuff in them that as you continue to work your way through and discover new rooms, you'll start to realize like, oh, that thing that was in this first room, now I found like this little sheet of paper that has like a little thing on it that says like, hey, this is what that means.
Oh,
And
okay.
so you start to like piece together all of these things and all of these like puzzles that are scattered throughout this manor, and start trying to kind of like work your way through solving a bunch of these things. And that's one of the reasons why I think this game is so hard to talk about without like spoiling anything, is because most of the game, I would say, is like trying to figure out what these puzzles do. And as you're exploring and discovering this stuff, you are also trying to figure out like, okay, how do I get to room 46, and then once I get to room 46, how do I actually get into room 40
Right.
room 46? And so learning all of that has been a lot of fun. Like I've got my little like Apple iPhone Notes app where you're just trying to like figure stuff out, because like the first few runs, right, it's like I have no idea what's going on. I'm just like picking rooms and like just going wherever, trying to get to the top. Like I don't really, it takes a few runs to really understand like what am I even trying to do here.
Right.
And then I hit like a room that was basically like, it showed me like this grid with a bunch of letters and was like, hey, here's a message and here's how you figure out the message. And I was like, oh, okay. So now I have to like go back and start doing that because I hadn't been doing that up until this point. But that is kind of the way the game progresses, I feel like, too. So it's not like outside of just trying to get to room 46, like you are setting sort of your own objectives. So it's like, okay, I'm trying to figure out what this message is. So that means that I need to try to get like a room in this position so that I can go there and figure out like that part of the message or whatever. Or, you know, I'm trying to like, some rooms will let you carry things over from run to run. And so it's like, okay, so my goal for this run is not to try to like win necessarily. Maybe it's just to try to like get this item and carry it over to like the next run so that I can have a better chance on the next run. And then there is like an outside of the manor, and the stuff that you do outside of the manor persists run to run. And so that's kind of a way to keep it like to feel like you're making some progress without just like feeling like you're just banging your head against the wall. So
Interesting.
yeah, I'm at the point now in the game where I've pretty much figured out how to like get into room 46. It's more so just like now I need a run that lines up correctly, you know. It's kind of like Hades, where it's like, okay, I've gotten to Hades and now I just need a run where I have the right weapon, I have the right buffs, and I can actually beat Hades. Like I get to Hades with enough lives or health or whatever in order to like actually finish it, you know.
Yeah, I'd heard some people talking about like mentioning RNG can be kind of a frustrating factor in this game.
Yeah. Because that's like I was doing a run earlier today and it was just like, it was going really well, I thought. But then I hit the point where it was like, okay, I've got like 4 ways to keep progressing and going further up in the house. And it's like, oh shit, like there's one that's a dead end. Oh no, there's another that's a dead end. Oh no, there's a third one that's a dead end. I really hope this fourth one isn't like gives me one of three rooms that is taking me towards the direction I want to go, or at least opening up some more options or something.
Right.
And it ended up being like 3 dead ends again. And like I'm sure there are ways to mitigate that to some extent. Like you can find like dice that let you re-roll the rooms that you have. There are certain rooms that'll let you re-roll the rooms that are like connected to it. I'm sure there's like people who are better at the game or understand like the drafting part of it more, are like better at figuring out like, well, which rooms do I want to try to choose early, because it essentially you have like, the way I understand it is like you have a deck of like all of the possible rooms that can be in the house, and so it's like once you if you draft some of the like dead ends early and strategically, then later on in the run you won't draw those, you know. And so some of the RNG I'm sure can be mitigated in those kind of ways, but it's also like trying to figure out how do I mitigate that, and some of those strategies, while also not like, I'm sure you could look up some like guides and stuff on some of that, but this is also, for me at least, a game that I went into completely blind, knowing nothing about it, and like haven't looked anything up as I've been going. Like everything that I've found and solved has just been me like figuring it out, which has been really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like I enjoy that about the game. But it also means that like I refuse to look up if I'm just drafting like a fucking idiot and it's like there's a better way to do it or something, because I don't want to accidentally spoil like any of the puzzles and stuff for me. So
right.
But it is super cool. I do really enjoy the like we've talked about it before. I enjoy discovery and exploration in games, and so like this is that in game form, right? Like this is a game that is like the entire point of it is about exploration and discovery. There is not combat. There is not like the most that you are doing is like solving some like logic or math puzzles, or like piecing together this convoluted set of clues across like 15 different rooms that you're trying to like understand, you know. And so it's definitely not a game that I can see everyone getting into, but it is really well made, and I've been enjoying it. I've been, you know, it's one that takes a lot of like, it's not one that I'm just like, ooh, let me pop that in and not think, because it requires some mental effort there. But it's also one that is super rewarding, I think, especially if you go in blind and aren't looking anything up, because you're like solving all of these puzzles, right? Like there was a room that I spent probably like 2 hours in today, just like solving the various puzzles, like, you know, not straight. It was kind of just like, I can't even really talk about the puzzles without spoiling. It was like four different pictures that you were trying to like figure out what the name of the picture was, using like clues from around the room. And so it was like, okay, let me write all of this down and like go do something else, and then come back and like look at it and try to figure out like what this even means. And eventually I was able to get like all of that, you know. So I think it's cool. I think it's worth checking out, especially if you have Game Pass, because it's on Game Pass. But
yeah, and it's doing pretty well for itself. It's got its moment in the zeitgeist. It seems pretty popular. It does not sound like a game that I have any interest in playing, especially like because I had only heard people talking about it. I'd seen like a couple screenshots, you know. And so I didn't really know exactly what it was. So you did a good job of giving me like a clear understanding, but I don't think you really spoiled anything. And now I know that, yeah, this game is probably not for me. But if you like puzzle games, sounds like if you're really into The Witness and games like that, then this is right up your alley.
For sure.
Nice. Cool. Well, the only other game really that I've dabbled in just briefly, and I figured we might bring it up on this episode because it was a bit of a moment in and of itself, is the Oblivion Remaster, which calling it a remaster, I know why they did, but it's like a really good remaster. You know, you hear remaster and you think, oh, like updated lighting and, you know, frame rate maybe, and maybe visuals, or like the visuals just don't look fuzzy anymore. Like some remasters don't really, you see them side by side and you're like, yeah, I guess that's better. But this is like, it's a remaster in the sense that they didn't really fix the game in any way. Like underneath the engine, it's still Oblivion. I think they still left in like the voice line where the voice actress is like, let me take it, let me do another take, and they like left that in the game. They, you know, the characters are still really goofy and like the interactions are, but it looks amazing. It looks really good, and they did add a few like quality, like you can sprint now, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just Oblivion, but looks better.
Yeah, because essentially they just pulled it into like Unreal 5, right?
Yeah, they redid like all the visuals in Unreal 5.
Yeah. And I mean, it looks great. I mean, I played Oblivion back in 2009, 2010, something like that. And so 15 years ago. And it looks like I remember Oblivion.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Oblivion is rough now. Trying to go back to that game.
Yeah, like at the time it was like, this is amazing, and now it is not great.
Yeah, so they announced that they were going to reveal it like a day before, and a lot of this stuff had kind of like leaked or was heavily suspected, like that it was going to happen.
They found a posting for it or something, right?
Yeah, I didn't actually, like, it wasn't leaked for me. I was surprised by it, but then I saw after the fact that, like, reading some articles and stuff, I was like, the leaks were true, and so I was like, oh, okay. But basically, they announced a showcase thing. They did the showcase. The showcase was a bunch of like, Oblivion is so special to all of us. We love it. And then, now we'll show you what the remaster looks like. Oh, it looks great. You know, we left the core gameplay experience untouched, but we brought it into the modern era, you know, all that blah, blah, blah stuff. But it was kind of cool. Like, they gave the devs their moment, let the studio kind of talk about it. The two studios, because they had like, the studio that actually did the Unreal 5 work was not Bethesda.
Yeah, Virtuous.
Yeah, I think that's right, Virtuous. Yeah. And so they got to talk about the game, and then when they go to announce it, like the release date, they're like, it's available today. And I was sitting there I was watching this thing on my lunch break on my TV, and was like, well, that's crazy. Is it like later tonight? What? And then so I exited, because I was on my Xbox. I exited YouTube, went over, and bam, there it was right there. I was like, that's crazy. Yeah. So with the low price of a Game Pass subscription and 120 gigs or whatever it costs to download it, I just went ahead and started installing on my lunch break. And then that evening I booted it up. I spent, I don't know, 30 minutes or more in the character creator making a wood elf character. And then I played through the opening Patrick Stewart section where you're like escaping the sewers and stuff, and I was like, yeah, this feels like Oblivion, but it looks good. And I got out into the world and was kind of like heading towards my main next destination, which I forgot about this if it was like this in the original, but as soon as you're out into the world, you can just fast travel to your next destination.
Oh, I didn't realize you could fast. Yeah,
you can just fast travel to the what, like, it's on your map. You can go to it. You don't have to discover it first. You don't have to, like, it's just boom, just go there. You can walk if you want, but if you don't want to walk, just, so I haven't fast traveled to that location yet. I got out into the world, and then dinner was ready, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna put this down for now. And then I wanted to finish South of Midnight because it was a smaller experience, and I wanted to knock it out before I started Clair Obscur, which is why we're not talking about that game on this episode, because I haven't started it yet. I wanted to clear out some of the other stuff I was playing first. But yeah, it was just a really cool moment, I guess. It was really interesting. Like, they could have it's also not a fully priced game, which is pretty cool. Like, we get it through Game Pass, but yeah, you can get it for $50, I think. And then if you want the deluxe edition, it's like $60, and it's on PlayStation. And so yeah, it was just a really interesting, for me, kind of surprising moment. Like, I knew that I had heard that this remaster was coming, but I honestly didn't expect it to be this soon in the year, having heard nothing about it yet. And then them just like shadow dropping it was like, wow. Which, it makes sense they can do that with this game, and it's still going to be successful. Because I was
like they don't need a huge marketing lead up. They can kind of just be like, hey,
exactly,
play Oblivion again.
Exactly, because everybody, like, not everybody, but most people know what Oblivion was, and if not, they know what Skyrim was. And so I was thinking about this, like, another game that they shadow dropped was Hi-Fi Rush. And I wonder if that was a disservice to that game, because the industry loved that game. The industry was like, wow, this is so cool and original and breath of fresh air for video games and blah, blah, blah. And I played through most of it and thought it was really good and cool. But I wonder if that game had a little bit of like lead time to get people to understand what it is and like explain the concept and like get people excited about it, if it would have maybe done better financially. Who knows? I mean,
well, that's the weird place I think a lot of that is in too, right? Because like Xbox is trying to kind of do the Netflix model, which theoretically shouldn't matter too much about like how well a game does, but because games are expensive to make, and it's also being sold, unlike, you know, with Netflix where it's like they drop Stranger Things or whatever and it's just on Netflix. Like now they sell like DVDs and or Blu-rays of it, but like at the time it was just Netflix. And so yeah, it's this weird, like, theoretically I can see like Hi-Fi Rush, it's like, yeah, we don't need to advertise it because if it's good, people will talk about it, and then it'll be a reason to subscribe to Game Pass, and then it'll always be there for people to go play on Game Pass. But at the same time, that studio got closed. So
yeah, exactly.
You know,
and,
it's like
and if, like, say we didn't know what Stranger Things was, seeing ads or something for it and learning about it is what would make you go, maybe I should resubscribe to Netflix. Which, I mean, at the time everybody had Netflix, but like me, it would take a lot for me to like resubscribe to Netflix right now. And so similar to with Game Pass, like, especially if they keep hiking their prices up, like, you want to know, like, obviously there's a bunch of games on there you could probably get value out of, but if they're trying to get you in with some of these new games, it'd be good to kind of know why I should sub for X game. Whereas like with Oblivion, it's Oblivion. Like, people, they knew that they were going to have a already like diehard locked in fan base right away. And then beyond that, you know, word of mouth, whatever, maybe people that were too young when it came out. So it makes sense why they could do it for that game and why it doesn't work for all of them. I still say somewhere in the middle, it would be nice if we could just get like the shorter like cycles for promoting games. And you know, when did we first hear about Metroid Prime 4, and it's just now supposed to come out this year? I mean, it's been like 6 years or something. That's ridiculous. So
right, like, give me time to be excited for it, but not so long that it is like exhausting. Or there is no way that it can ever live up to how excited I am, you know?
Yeah, or the industry has like moved on without it, and so it kind of releases lackluster because...
because And I am interested to see if, like, I don't know how long they were working. I don't know if they've said how long they were working on this Oblivion Remaster, but like, I wonder if it's the type of thing that like they're gonna do to like some of their other like older Bethesda titles, like if they gave a similar treatment to like Morrowind or like Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, like some of those kind of ones. I wonder if we're gonna see some of that.
Yeah.
Or if this was kind of just like a one-off, like Oblivion itself is really special. Because, I don't know, like, Oblivion's cool. I always hear good things about Morrowind. I played Morrowind a little bit on the Xbox like way back in the day. But that's definitely one that I'm like, yeah, find him. It's too old. I can't go back. Oblivion was like really, it was pretty much on the other side of that, where it was too old to really go back to. But like, it did come out on the 360, so it wasn't as egregious.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if they're gonna like, especially if, like I said, I don't know how long it took and how long it was in development and how much it cost, but like, you know, if this is something that they could knock out in like a year, like, hey, you guys want to do another?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I do think they're it feels like they're testing the waters with this whole thing, like the remaster itself, the shadow dropping, all that kind of releasing on PlayStation, and I'm pretty sure it's on Steam. So it does feel kind of like that, a bit of testing the water. And like, I've been curious about New Vegas, which isn't Bethesda, but it is Microsoft at this point.
Yeah, it's Obsidian.
Yeah, so like that's the only Fallout that I've heard enough about that I'm like, you know, that's one I wouldn't mind checking out. But again, at this point, I don't want to go through the trouble to mod it on PC, and I don't want to play it base. So yeah, so a remaster of that one would be pretty cool. But
yeah,
nice. Well, to wrap this thing up, we reached out to our community in Discord that I plugged at the beginning of the show, and we asked them what they have been playing recently. So we're going to close out this episode with our effing community's thoughts, the neighborhood, if you will. So if you want to be part of episodes like this or topics that we do, or we reach out to our community, join our Discord. Link is in the podcast description of every single episode. And if it doesn't work, just send me a message and I'll fix it. So the first response we got was from John with no H, who said, finally finished my first playthrough of Witcher 3. Really enjoyed my time with it.
As someone who took 7 years to play through The Witcher 3.
Kindred spirits.
That's impressive. That's impressive. So, because I remember though, he started it like, what, late last year, earlier this year?
Yeah, but I think he restarted it. Like I don't know that he's ever gotten very far, because he was talking about like Kira Metz and stuff in Discord about like getting to her for the first time. So I don't think he ever really got that far, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm impressed that somebody beat it in less than 7 years, you know, like, whew.
The bar is so high. But yeah, that's a great game. Obviously I love that game. And so I'm glad to hear that John enjoyed it. He also mentioned one for you. He said he started Control for the first time as well. He's about 3 hours in and really, really liking it.
Yes. Control is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
We should probably do an episode on it at some point.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. Talk about Control. Yeah, Control is...
Yeah. It is one of the few games that I will go back and replay. Like, I've replayed it 2 or 3 times at this point.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Rad is a good word to describe Control. It's very rad. It's very cool.
Yes.
It has a lot of personality and, like, its visuals and aesthetic and all that. And then the thing I like about it is that the power set and the like actual gameplay and combat is a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the last thing that John mentioned was also trying out a little bit of the new hotness Blueprints. Really cool. Hoping to sink more time in this weekend.
Yep. Same.
So
I would really like to get to room 46. So I feel like, well, and that's the other thing too. I forgot to mention this. It's you get your first achievement when you get to room 46 and like unlock it. And so like that is where the game starts. Like then you start solving all of these other problems that I assume room 46 unlocks for you, because it's like, oh, hey, you know this thing that you've been walking past for forever? Like maybe it's more important than you thought it was. So
interesting. So how many hours in are you to get started?
I don't know.
You mentioned being in a room for 2 hours earlier, so
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's my game clock is not accurate to how much I've actually spent playing it, because some of it has just kind of been like
just leaving it
like,
on.
set it down, walk away, go do some other things while I'm trying to like think through like what this puzzle means, and then coming back to it. But I would guess I'm probably like 15, 20 hours in.
True.
So, yeah.
Nice. Cool. Well, the next response we got was from Colin. Colin said, Oblivion, Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon demo, and RuneScape Dragon Wilds.
Okay.
So Colin is definitely scratching a specific itch. I don't know about RuneScape. I didn't look into that, but he mentioned in Discord that Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon seemed like a very Skyrim-esque game, and I Googled it and looked at some of the screenshots and stuff. I was like, yeah, I could definitely see that. So I think he was playing that first to start trying to scratch that itch, and then the Oblivion thing dropped out of nowhere like we talked about earlier. So swimming in those first-person RPGs now.
Yeah. Well, and I want to say I saw screenshots for Dragon Wilds, and it was not what I was expecting, because I never played RuneScape back in the day. I was a WoW gamer.
Yeah, I only know about RuneScape because Joe wasn't allowed to play WoW, but he was allowed to play RuneScape for some reason. So,
yeah. But like Dragon Wilds, the screenshots I saw of it reminded me of like a less sort of like PlayStation 1-esque era looking Valheim.
oh, okay. So is it like a survival game?
It looked like I'm just going based off the few screenshots that I've seen. Because I
I
assumed
see what
with
you
a
mean.
name like like with RuneScape, I assumed it meant like an MMO sort of thing, but I don't actually know that this
Gather,
is. I think
build,
it's a survival game.
skill, and craft to survive in this cooperative survival crafting. Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah. So with that description, I am more interested in Dragon Wild suddenly.
I was gonna say it didn't do much for me, but it sounds like something you might be into.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. The next response we got was from the real Dave Jackson, who said, having a great time with Expedition 33, Banishers, and Blueprints. I also just finished Dragon Quest V and loved it too. Nothing but bangers over here.
I will take his word for Dragon Quest V.
Yeah, Dragon Quest is a series that's completely missed me. I think I maybe dabbled in one of the more recent ones, but I don't even know if that's true.
Like 9 or
yeah,
something,
I
or
may
11.
I may have just like seen it. I know I played like Ni no Kuni and some of the other ones, but I haven't. Yeah, I think Dragon Quest is pretty much completely missed me. So that's cool.
Well, and Dragon Quest came out before you were like Dragon Quest V came out in 1992. So.
Yeah, this one specifically is old. Like I think the most recent is 11 that came to like PlayStation 4 and Switch and stuff. So
yeah,
that one's much more like the kind of 3D JRPG that you would expect a more modern game to be. And then we talked about Blueprints. We talked about why we're not talking about Expedition 33 yet. I'm very excited to start that one. I think it'll click for me. You've said that it's not probably going to be your cup of tea, so
I'll play it, but
yeah, give it a try because it's on Game Pass. Yeah, and then Banishers, we've done an episode on that game. I finished that earlier this year, and overall, really like it. I think it's a pretty cool game. I think it has a few issues and flaws here and there, but yeah, I'm curious to see what he thinks of it once he's wrapped it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Our next response is from Deku Scrub, who is Caleb, our friend Caleb, who has been on the show multiple times. You've heard his voice specifically. I think most recently was the Final Fantasy VII Remake episodes. So he said, almost done with Dark Souls 2 DLC, over halfway done with Frozen Elium Lois. Then I've just got a couple of loose ends before I wrap up the game entirely for a different ending. So that's DLC that I never completed because I don't recognize that name.
Yeah. Is that the like ice?
I'm
one
assuming
with all the
that's the
chains?
ice because it's
Okay.
Frozen.
Yeah.
But yeah, he recently started with Dark Souls 1 and beat it, and now he's almost done with Dark Souls 2. So that's cool.
Yeah.
He's gonna if he plays just keeps going with Dark Souls games, he's gonna be like, wow, this is quite a jump in game feel when he gets to 3.
Yep.
I mean, he'd feel that way if he went to Bloodborne next too. I feel like Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 both feel a lot better than Dark Souls 2 and 1 as far as just like the age that they feel. Yeah. Let's see. Then he said, aside from that, my great fighting game marathon continues. Finished Super Street Fighter 2 the other day. That's the 4th version of Street Fighter 2 I've played so far. Only 2 more to go. Now I'm chugging through Virtua Fighter, but that sucker is a pain in the rear. Good for you, Caleb.
Yep.
Good
I am
for
not a fighting
you.
game person, so I appreciate that you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting games I enjoy fighting games, but the only one I've ever played more than like casually with just like siblings and friends was Dragon Ball Fighters. Like that was the only one I played online. I have no desire to go back to like Street Fighter 2 days of fighting games. Like I'm good with I have Street Fighter 6 on my wish list because that one looked cool and it's modern and whatever, but haven't pulled the trigger on it. So
Yeah.
it sounds like Caleb is enjoying the challenge of playing certain games as the game itself. You know, that's kind of like the people who chase platinum trophies. It's like the chase and the like collection aspect of it is as much a part of playing games as actually playing the games themselves. So
Exactly.
and then the last response we got was from Ryan Player One, who said, been playing Expedition 33, which is phenomenal, so I keep hearing. But also been revisiting a classic, and as it ends up, Ocarina of Time is still a very good game.
Nice.
We did not get a remake announcement for that with the Switch 2, so it's not looking good for that prediction if that was this year.
Yeah, I can't remember if that was this year or not.
Yeah, I can't remember if that was this year or last year. There's always some variation of Switch and Zelda in our predictions on my side. When I was traveling for work, I brought my Switch, and I booted up Ocarina of Time because that was one of my things I put on our like goals at the start of the year, which those aren't looking very good at this point. We'll see how those go.
We're about halfway through and still haven't played Pokemon.
Yeah, so we'll see how those go. But I did, for Ocarina of Time, I did get like to Castletown, talk to Zelda, and I'm like heading to the Goron area. And yeah, I think it's still a good game. I still think it has really good atmosphere even for like its visuals. The most frustrating thing for me going back to it is that it was made for a console with a single control stick. And so the camera controls are just super annoying to me because you have to like just use the like left trigger to recenter the camera behind you, and it'll slow, like if you turn, it'll pan behind you and like eventually catch up to you. But like we've had 2 control sticks and like camera controls for so long at this point, it's really hard to go back. And that's one of those things that I think could be fixed in a remake or like a solid remaster. And so that would make the game just that much better.
Yeah. Like now I'm like, since we talked about Oblivion's remaster, I'm just thinking about like I don't think Nintendo would ever do this because they're Nintendo, but it's like, what would it be like if Nintendo was just like, hey, Virtuous, you know what you did for Oblivion? What if you just pulled Ocarina of Time into Unreal 5 and like fix the camera.
Or just the
bit,
Breath of the Wild engine.
Mm-hmm.
They could put it in that, and it would be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in there, scale it up a little bit, and then give you free camera control, and yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, like it seems like such an easy win, but I don't know. Like on the one hand, yes, I do give shit to Sony every single time that they re-release The Last of Us, which has been how many times? Like 7 at this point.
Yeah, it's a lot.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, I would sit here and be like, come on, Nintendo, like re-release, remaster something, please.
Yeah,
you know?
like, and it makes sense for a game that's as old as like an N64 game. It doesn't make sense to like remaster Last of Us or Days Gone or Horizon Zero Dawn or all the games that they've been doing these little remasters on.
Or charge, what is it, $70 for Breath of the Wild ported to Switch 2? Like,
yeah, I think the Zelda games you can buy like an upgrade, or you get the upgrade for free with the online expansion. They're being very Xbox or Nintendo about, like, some games you have to buy the new version, some games you get like upgrades. The Zelda ones, I think you can get the upgrades if you have the online subscription, or you could just buy them. Yeah, I'm too old and getting too out of touch with like the deep industry stuff to like keep that stuff straight and correct people on it. I'm just kind of like, why are we doing this, man? Like when Xbox was doing this with their console names, I was like, no, it's not that bad. It's really, I don't know what everybody's complaining about. And now I'm like, why can't we just like across the board just like decide what we're going to do with these upgrades and these prices? And like, why do I have to Google everything before I buy it? It's ridiculous. Come on.
Yep.
But yeah, cool. Well, thank you all so much for responding in our channel and Discord about what you've been playing. It sounds like Expedition 33 is the next big thing, the next thing that I gotta get loaded up. I did finish South of Midnight, so it is coming up soon for me. I'm excited to get into it. I kind of want to finish at least the main story in Assassin's Creed Shadows before I jump onto another game, because especially a game like Expedition 33, where if I do like it and beat it, it's gonna be like a good chunk of time, and then trying to go back to Shadows after that would be like, what's happening? So we'll see. I may put it off of another week or two. But with all that being said, again, thank you guys so much. If you want to be part of conversations like this, join our Discord. We'd love to have you. Let's do some housekeeping. On the podcast front, we just had our Monster Hunter Wilds episode, which I'm sure was great. I am still editing it currently, so I don't know. And then upcoming, we should have an Assassin's Creed Shadows episode for you. If you listened to the Wait For It podcast do their Assassin's Creed retrospective kind of episode that I was a part of, we teased that the Shadows episode would be coming up soon. Phil is going to join me and we're going to talk about that game. As far as that, we're due for another planning session on what's coming up on the podcast. So I'm not really sure what's around the corner, but it's going to be great. So stay tuned. What about YouTube, Dylan? I'm assuming that's pretty similar. We need to have a planning session.
Yeah. Well, we do have some things that could come out. A lot of that is contingent on whether I can get whatever is going on with my video editing software fixed, because I've been fighting that off and on for 2 weeks. So I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know if it was like a driver update or an update of the software or a system update that is now incompatible, but I can't edit anything, which has been real fun. And there aren't really any other free, like good free options, unfortunately. I kind of expected at this point, like, that Google would have like its version of like some, like they have Google Docs, Google whatever, and
like an iMovie competitor or something. Yeah.
I kind of figured they'd have, and they do have some sort of video editing thing, but it's only like for business, like you have to pay for it. And I was like, oh, okay, well,
just do it all in Canva.
Yeah. That's about the point we're at. Is just kind of like putting stuff in Canva and hoping it works, or
Oh, it takes so
'cause-
long.
yeah, because I was like, oh, surely like Microsoft had like ClipShare or whatever can do just a basic like, here is video, here is audio situation. It doesn't accept MP4s. The most common like format of video files.
Yeah, that's so weird.
So it was like, yeah, we don't accept these, and I was like, all right, I guess. So yeah, hopefully there is stuff coming out on YouTube, because we are about out of stuff that I was able to like backlog and get out before it just completely stopped working on me. If you know how to fix DaVinci, or if you've had a similar problem, comment down below. So
Yeah.
we can figure out what's wrong with it, because the random message boards that I have found myself on and Reddit threads that have been having the same problem also have not resolved it. So
You might reach out to Matt Bliss in our Discord, shoot him a message,
Okay.
because he actually does like video and audio editing. He has like clients and stuff that he does it for, so he might actually have some
Have an
insight.
answer.
Yeah,
yeah, okay, yeah, I may do that.
but yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
where we're at with
assuming-
video.
Assuming I can get it fixed, there will be videos coming out. If I can't, Andrew might make one, or we might just take the week off. We'll see.
Yeah, I've been writing. I have a script for South of Midnight, and I have a script for a topic that I'm working on, like another list kind of episode or video. So like I have those that I can work on, but we'll just have to see. Well, we got to get Dylan squared away so that we can
Yeah.
get back to. I can't do it all. It's
Yep.
it's a lot. So, but yeah, we will get it figured out. We'll have content on YouTube. There just might be a little bit of a bump over the next however many weeks. I mean, by the time you're hearing this,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have it resolved. But
Just gonna have to start editing in OBS.
oh
Like,
yeah, we'll just start doing it all live. Just like
right.
yeah, right. Okay, we'll figure something out. And then
Yep.
that's pretty much it. Like Aubrey's still out enjoying time with her baby. We haven't really even talked to her about like if/when she wants to come back. So we'll update you whenever we know more about that. And then I've already plugged the Discord about 1,000 times, so you know about that. That's pretty much it for this episode. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching if you are on YouTube. So thanks so much for that. We will catch you on the next episode, and stay friendly, gamers.